Hello, welcome to Starting from Scratch, episode 7. Today I'm going to go over things which I've been practicing in the last 10 days, 2 weeks. That's mainly finger bowing active, where the fingers actively move the bow. Finger bowing passive, where the fingers react with the movement to the bow. And also what I did in the last episode, the upper half of the bow and the lower half of the bow, but I'm going to do that all on 2 strings, not just on 1. The point of this is that if I'm playing on 1 string, the bow has quite a bit of leeway in both directions before it hits another string. If I'm playing on 2 strings, if my bow is on 2 strings, there's no leeway. Both strings have to sound the whole time. Any wobbles that I have, I will hear immediately because one of the strings won't be there as much as the other string. So I'm basically forcing my bow to bow smoothly. It's one of these self-correcting things. By bowing on 2 strings, you have to be so much more precise and exact because you don't have any possibilities in these directions. The other advantage that bowing on 2 strings has is that the bow as such is much more stable on 2 strings than it is on 1 string. So that's what I'm going to be doing for my bow technique today. Let's see how the finger bowing goes if I do it not just on 1 string but on 2 strings. See, it's not 2 strings. I have to try to do it less jerky. I want it to sound as good as possible. 4 fingers slipping off again as usual. I think that's getting a little bit better now. I don't know. I still get annoyed every time it slips off. Maybe I should just stop getting annoyed about it and I might be happier when I practice. The other thing that I'm doing when I'm practicing the finger bowing, besides trying to get it to sound slightly better, is slowly moving towards the frog, because that's where I need it most. Okay, that's about as far as I can go towards the frog. And I'll keep it at that because it's a lot further than I could do a week ago. So as long as I'm making progress, that's fine. It can be slow progress in tiny, tiny, tiny steps. D and A string. Slipping off again. I'm noticing that my 4th finger is doing better at the finger bowing. My thumb not so much. For some reason I seem to find it very difficult bending the thumb for the finger bowing, more difficult than the 4th finger. Now losing the bow hold again. Just keep going. Patience is everything. Yeah, that's about as far as I can go. It gets a lot more difficult the closer I get to the frog. That's why I'm not trying to be over ambitious here, but I just want to keep the finger bowing movement and try for it to sound sort of okay. And I hope if I can add a centimeter towards the frog every week, then eventually I'll be there. One of the things which is easier for me, because I am a professional and I have my teacher inside me, so to speak, is that I can detect tiny steps of progress, which a complete beginner wouldn't be able to do. For instance, just the fact that my fourth finger feels a bit more secure on the bow stick is, in a way, a huge improvement because it's so important. But it's a tiny thing and one needs to know what to look for to even notice the improvements. So here I am noticing that I have a huge advantage over other beginners because I can detect these tiny steps forward that I am making. And I know that even if I can only get a little bit closer to the frog, that is a huge important step that I am doing, and it doesn't matter if it's only a small step, it's in the right direction. Okay, finger bowing G and D string. Yes. Okay, the finger bowing is definitely getting better. I can move closer to the frog. I can get about to the point of balance. It gets more difficult the closer I get to the frog because the bow is heavier and my forefinger has to carry more weight, which right now just results in it slipping off of this bow stick. So that's why I'm taking that part very slowly. Now I'm going to do the finger bowing in a more passive manner. That I can only do in the middle and upper half because I need to have a very relaxed hand for that, which means that it has to be in the area of the bow where the bow's own weight is what I need, where I don't have to take weight away where the bow is heavy in the lower half, and I don't have to add weight where the bow is too light in the upper half. So it's an area around the middle. Ah, slipping off again. Okay, again. Okay, that's a sort of a semi-passive version of the finger bowing. It's no longer just the fingers moving the bow, but the fingers are supposed to react to the change of direction. We'll do that on the D and A string. Yeah, D and A string is easiest for bow technique because the bow is more or less parallel to the ground. A and E string has a different angle and G and D string also has a different angle. So that's helpful to know that it really does make a difference being on the middle strings. We need to do this on the lower strings now too. Slipping off. And I don't know if you could hear that the G and D string, it wasn't stable. Sometimes the G string was louder, sometimes the D string was louder. That shows how wobbly my bow still is. That's why I'm practicing it on both strings. Yeah, slipping off again. I wonder if anybody's counting how often within one video my fourth finger slips off of the bow stick. Again. I also have to remember to practice sounds and not movements. Yes, I am concentrating on the finger movement, but it's sounds that I'm producing, so it's sounds which are important. about. This is really a challenge. But now that I'm noticing tiny steps forward, I'm a bit more hopeful about all of this. Now I'm going to practice the upper half of the bow, and then after that, of course, the lower half. That's less fun because it's a lot more difficult. And I'm going to do what I did in the last video, where I practice just the upper half and then just the lower half, but I'm going to do that on 2 strings today. Start in the middle. Yeah, see how wobbly the bow is? That's how one can tell, but practicing on 2 strings was going to help with that. Yes, I have to add a bit more weight when I get closer to the tip on 2 strings than I have to do on 1 string. But that's very good because I'm practicing adding a bit of weight, which is something which I actually haven't done like that yet. Yeah, I'm practicing leaning my hand forward, bringing the weight onto the first finger of my bow hand as I get closer to the tip. Yeah, one can really hear how wobbly my bow is. Middle strings. And the lower strings. Very wobbly still, and I'm noticing that the adding of the weight is making my bow hand tense up a little bit because I don't have this weight distribution balance feeling yet. So I'm adding the weight, but it's making my bow hand tense up a little bit. And also, I don't think if you noticed, I don't go all the way to the tip, particularly not on the lower strings. There's a simple reason for that. I can't. I would be bowing backwards because I can't reach there yet. This has to all be practiced. So I'm just going as far as I can go without losing my bow hold and trusting that with a bit of time I can add 0.5 centimeter perhaps every week or even every 2 weeks. It doesn't matter. I don't need to be able to go right up to the tip right now, and with some time that will come. So if for anybody else out there joining me in this kind of undertaking, don't worry about it if you can't go all the way to the tip just yet. More important is that you keep your bow hold. Okay, now the lower half. I always tell my students lower half has to be practiced at least twice as much as upper half because it's at least twice as difficult. So that's what I'm doing. Takes a lot of discipline to take one's own advice. Okay, start in the middle. Very wobbly. I should do this with a higher bow speed because that will sound a little bit better, but it does mean I have to move faster. So let's see. Yes, I'm still using my wrist a lot as I approach the frog instead of this finger movement. It's getting slightly better. I guess that will just take a lot of time before it'll really be a part of how I can play. slightly better, but one can hear how wobbly my bow is because I'm on 2 strings. Okay, the lower strings. I'm finding it very difficult to curl my fingers and bend my thumb as I approach the frog. Very difficult. Very, very slightly better. It's one of those things which is hard to detect, but it was slightly better. Let me see if I can do that with a higher bow speed. That means I have to move faster. I am able to move my fingers slightly as I approach the frog, but it's exactly that moving of the fingers which is making the bow wobble even more. So right now I have to live with the fact that I can be very happy if I can curl my fingers and bend my thumb ever so slightly, and live with the fact that it makes my bow wobble, and hope that the wobbling will get better with time. Okay, time for string hand work. For those of you who are new to this series, I work at the string hand without the bow so that I can concentrate completely on what my fingers are doing, so that I don't tense up with the bow and get used to doing something wrong because I cannot put both hands together yet. So when I work at bow technique, I work on open strings. And when I work at string hand technique, I do all of that pizzicato for now. And both hands have to be a lot more automated before I can even consider putting them together. It just wouldn't bring anything right now because my bow wouldn't be as good as it could be because I can't concentrate on it completely. And the string hand also wouldn't be as good as it could be because I can't concentrate on that properly. So I'm going to do something a little bit different today. Last time I did 4th finger and 3rd finger, which are the fingers which have to be practiced most. It's the weaker part of the hand. Today I'm going to start with the 1st finger, then 2nd finger, 3rd finger, 4th finger, so that I finally have all 4 fingers on the string. I need to start on the A string, 1st finger B natural. Okay, and I'm going to do it in a way that I can also pluck the open E string, which means my 1st finger now has to build a bridge over the E string in a way that the E string can resonate. The point of this is, first of all, it is self-correcting, because if the finger is placed, that the next higher open string can be plucked and heard and resonate, then I have the correct finger placing for my 1st finger. The other self-correcting aspect of this is that I can check with the open string if my finger is in tune. It's a perfect 4th to the open string above. I have the B natural. So I can check the intonation. Okay, I can't seem to pluck 2 strings at the same time yet, but that's not so important. Yeah, you heard? It didn't resonate properly, so I had to bring my hand up a little bit. So I had to correct my hand position for the E string to be able to sound. Okay, I'm going to do this 1 string lower. 1st finger on the D string, E natural. That's not an E natural, it's an out of tune something. I can check the intonation with the open E string, and I want to check it with the open A string. Again, I need to correct my finger for the A string to be able to sound. This correction is nearly always in this direction, because usually I'm too much like this, and then my finger touches the next higher open string, and if I want that open string to sound, I need to bring my hand up and bring my finger from above. That's what's so unbelievably difficult for me right now. My former bow hand, the right hand, doesn't like this very much. Very strenuous, very difficult, important to release in this direction. Often I do this a lot when I practice. I can recommend this really a lot. The more you can do this, the more you can release in this direction, and it does make violin playing a lot more balanced. Okay, again. Nothing's working now. Okay, patience, reload. Checking intonation now with the A string. Better, one string lower. That's even further away from the hand's point of view. Checking with the open A string for intonation, and now with D string. Better. Release. Second finger next. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the first finger down, and now the second finger in a semitone to the first finger. That would be C natural. It actually worked. Didn't know if I could do that. In the end, what I did is I made my second finger pluck the first finger. You do this on the D string. Worked out. Second finger plucked the first finger, and the first finger plucked the open string. This plucking with a string hand is what's going to be helping me most in teaching my string hand how to play, because it strengthens the fingers and it makes them independent from each other. So that's why I'm doing this so much. Okay, G string. This is hard. I can't do it. Yeah, I don't know if you saw, I had to bring my elbow over more. Uncomfortable, painful, it actually hurts. But that I even remember as a small kid, that learning this always hurt, and I always had to rest my arms. So kids have that problem too. They just learn so much faster. So I'm going to have pain longer. Okay, this is hard. Now I'm going to go all the way. I'm going to do all 4 fingers, and I'm going to see if they can all pluck the next lower finger. So what I'm going to do, starting on the A string, first finger, second finger, third finger, oh God, fourth finger, well, nearly. Intonation messed up a little bit. I don't know if you could hear, second finger was too sharp. It didn't hold its position, because the hardest thing is widening the hand at the base joints, getting the fingers independent from each other and far away from each other. But that I do know just takes time, and that you can't force. By practicing exercises like this, it will go a little bit faster than if you just play songs and things like that. But you can't force it because the body needs a certain amount of time just to develop. Okay, I'm going to do this one string lower. Sort of. Didn't work at first attempt. Some of them I had to do again, but that doesn't matter. I'm quite happy that I can do this at all. Very, very, very difficult having all four fingers on the string. The notes seem very, very far away from each other. My fourth finger can hardly reach, and that's because the hand can't do the movement necessary for the fingers to reach. I'm going to do this on the G string as well. Now that's going to be hardest because it's furthest away from the hand's point of view. So I'm going to be satisfied with the tiniest little thing because I know this is very, very hard. Not going to worry about that now. Ah, everything's slipping off. Okay. Sort of. Yeah. Very strenuous. What I do when I practice is I practice the string hand only for a very short time because it's so painful. Then I practice bow hand again, then I practice string hand again, and I do this basically switching from one hand to the other so that the other hand can always get a little bit of a break in between. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Still struggling along here. And to all of you joining me in one way or another, whether you play left-handed or right-handed, let's keep going. And we're not going to give up on this. And happy practicing. Enjoy the practicing. Try to find the tiniest things which you feel are a little bit better than before. That's actually probably what I would like to tell everybody most, because I'm noticing with myself, the little things which I notice, they're tiny. Even just managing to play one note fairly in tune, or just being able to curl my fingers and bend my thumb the tiniest little bit, even just in the right direction, makes such a difference because one knows one's getting somewhere. So start searching for improvements, no matter how small they are. If you just feel a bit more relaxed about something, if something sounds a little bit better, whatever. Search for the smallest improvements and let me know in the comments what you notice, what kind of improvements you notice. That's it for now. Happy practicing to everybody. See you next time.